Hello, everyone. This was a good week of chapters, with Black Clover's return, as well as a whole bunch of craziness throughout all of the major quote-unquote chapters. So, we're starting off with Black Clover, chapter 316, and this was a great chapter just for the moment in it. The whole chapter revolves around one slash from Asta to stop Lucifero, showing how much he himself has grown and how much he means to the entirety of the Black Bulls, as well as how much Yami and the Black Bulls mean to him, as Asta takes revenge for both his mom and Libby's mom, and ultimately, quote-unquote, destroys Lucifero. Now, how long this lasts is an excellent question, because this could be easily swerved in the next chapter, with the final pages seemingly looking like victory, but it all could change in a flash, as Asta was able to, in fact, pull off Yami's infinite slash equinox, where he cuts through a dimension, but Asta just was able to cut through the magic in general, giving him another form for his now fourth sword, which was very good. I loved that fact that he actually used Yami's move to defeat, for now, Lucifero. He ended up saving the day and saving pretty much everyone. With that one move, he was able to pull off the impossible and defeat Lucifero, much to the fact that no one saw it coming. Now, like I said, will this last? I'm not sure. But for now, Asta, in fact, saved the day and won. So overall, I think I'm gonna give this one an A, just for the pure moment of Asta's victory. With that, there are now two major paths the story can take, with one being the absolute victory. Asta did in fact win, while everyone else was distracting Lucifero before he was fully able to manifest. The arc ends with Asta being able to stand tall as the lone victor as we move on to whatever the next story arc could potentially be, which I don't even know, as nothing's been set up for it. Or Lucifero was able to manifest and things are about to get worse for everyone. But for now, there's a glimmer of hope, and it looks as though our heroes won, despite all of the odds. So next week will be very interesting to see what, in fact, the conclusion of this arc, or the continuation of it, is. Now we're on to Undead Unluck, chapter 91, and this was a good chapter, showing the continued growth of all of our main characters growing closer together, the bonds they're all forming. The fact that they're all working together really well, despite many of them having major injuries, and the fact that many of them are starting to more or less come apart with the continued fight. But the fact they're all still going is very impressive, in a manner of speaking. The whole crux of the chapter is the reunion between Titania and Billy and their reconnection, and it seems as though Billy is pseudo-reverting back to his old ways a little bit, but he still can't join back with the Union because he has to do something specific for him. However, he has now decided to latch on to the idea that Unluck and Undead, Andy and Fuko, can in fact pull off the impossible and change destiny and beat God. He's putting all his cards into that pot and decides to help Andy and Fuko in this fight against Spring, using the ability he is getting from Andy, and willingly gets himself quote-unquote killed, cut in half, by making sure Andy's blade is able to cut through Spring. With all of that, Fuko is able to get inside the core, and now the real game begins. If the core, Spring, and Fuko can finish this game relatively quickly and save everyone, more or less. Or even if it's not quickly, it doesn't really matter, as Fuko and Spring will just play their game and eventually Fuko will probably win. So overall, I think I'll give this chapter a B. It was good. It had a lot of good action, as well as the moment of Billy more or less deciding to rejoin the good guys, because now it's all of the Under and all of the Negators together, which should be an interesting power shift for the side of the good guys in the end, the side of humanity. Now, will this last? Probably not. And will they win? I'm not sure, but for now their odds are getting better and better with each passing moment, as all of them are now very powerful, more powerful than they were before. I do wonder what the next quest could possibly be after Spring though, mostly because I'm just curious, and I'm also curious if they're going to actually do the quest or ignore it, invoking Ragnarok and starting the apocalypse. Well, that's a question for whenever they get there, but for now, we still have to finish off spring. So now we're on to Mashle, Magic and Muscles, chapter 89, and this was a good chapter, showing the continued battle between Mash and Rose Quartz, as well as Rose Quartz's real motivations, and the fact that he manipulates everyone, friend and foe, such as the guy that has been helping him out was betrayed by him to make sure that Rose Quartz comes away unscathed. Because of this, Rose Quartz starts attacking his former friend slash partner of this battle here to take the advantage that he deems worthy, while also using his second wand to make sure that Mash really struggles. But Mash is Mash and uses everything in his power to have the most broken techniques on the planet. There's just no way to describe this manga without saying it's just ridiculous. So the battle continues with Mash pulling off a feat that shouldn't really work, but it does. And it seems as though Mash and Rose Quartz are back at square one in their fight. So overall, I think I'll give this chapter a B. It was good. It had the entertainment value of Mash and Dot being more or less ridiculous, as well as the fact that Rose Quartz continues to prove to be a very good secondary foil for this arc, because we all know that when Demina shows up, things are going to go from bad to absolutely impossibly worse, outside of Mash being sort of a cheat code for the story. But I don't even know how well he'll take the fight with Demina, so it should be very interesting to see what happens whenever Demina does decide to reveal himself. But for now, Rose Quartz is a very good secondary villain, and seeing that fight should continue to be fun, as Rose Quartz is doing much better than I thought he would. Now we're on to Sakamoto Days, chapter 51, and this was a great chapter, as we see the beginning of the villains storming the JAA, and even more of what Slur's plan possibly could be. So their assault on the JAA begins as one of the members, Gaku, as we learn later on in this chapter, the one who seemingly is actually killing everyone, not Slur, starts killing everyone again, even taking down some more powerful members of the JAA and not really breaking a sweat, causing quite the scene by destroying just about everyone, having a unique weapon and everything. Though it does in fact look like Slur has also been killing people, but not when we finally see him again in this chapter, as it is revealed that he also has spies within the JAA watching it, I guess, maybe, or just to keep a tab on it, maybe for this very moment to infiltrate whatever it is, as we see him continuing to make his way up the floors with his new now spy partner that showed up here, Uda. So the two of them are making their way to their destination, and it's revealed what Slur's motivation is, and that's to reset the corrupt JAA to create a new order. How that will work, I'm not sure, but for now, he's very convincing in what he's going to do. However, the old man from before, the super assassin old man, has arrived at the JAA first, and his menacing presence cuts down two people and even makes Jaku pause, knowing that the old man is coming. So that battle should be very interesting to see, as these guys seem on an entirely other level compared to the serial killers from the last arc. This whole chapter was pretty great just seeing the villains, as it's such a shift from what we usually see. So I really am looking forward to seeing how this arc continues. So overall, I think I'll give this chapter an A as well, just because of how cool it was to see the villains succeeding in what they planned on doing, as well as the sheer prospect of the old man versus this new, very powerful seeming assassin character that was with Slur, Jaku. So that fight should be very interesting, as well as the fact that what is Sakamoto going to do, as well as what Shin going to do when they see that the JAA is in shambles and Slur has killed pretty much everyone. There's a lot of intrigue going on with the chapters now in Sakamoto Days, as the story is really starting to get very interesting. So that was all the major chapters. Like I said, everything was a bit just crazy and all over the place. Nothing really tied together really nicely, from the fact that Asta was able to pull off a massive victory, to Andy and Fuko and Mashle just continuing their battles with the villains, and Sakamoto Days not even including Sakamoto once in this chapter, and just having their villains run amok right now. So all of them did their own thing, and all of them were very good. Now, for the quote-unquote minor chapters, you had Yazakura family continuing its arc of trying to find their father. The Yazakura family found more of their power source, of his power source, in an area, and it is, in fact, revealed that the major plot enemy, the first Yazakura, is waking up the deceased members of all of the previous generations. As the second Yazakura head, and now the third, I think it was the third, Yazakura head, are now awakened. And I'm assuming even more, though this third Yazakura family leader doesn't seem too thrilled to be a part of this little game of the first Yazakura family leader. So there's at least a power struggle and dynamic there, though this fight doesn't look like it's going to go all that well with the first family head arriving on the scene. We then had Jujutsu Kaisen, which was fine, meeting new characters. The battles continue with the culling game. The Elusive Samurai was good. The surprise attack from the Bandit King villain from earlier did in fact succeed, and now battles starting to turn in the favor of the villains, but it looks like they had all planned for that to happen. The main priest guy that's helping our main character seemingly knew he wouldn't win this war and was just trying to prove how loyal our main character is for his subordinates, and it looks as though they have gained more allies in the process. So when the final battle does arrive, the main character is going to have quite the army. Blue Box was fine. Again, nothing really to say there. I did end up catching up to Dr. Stone, all very good stuff. This chapter was one final invention run before they end up going to the moon. So it was a fun chapter, and I'm looking forward to seeing what this final arc can bring to the story as a whole. Ashimon was good. It had its fun premise with our main character winning and gaining the building. However, we got to see somewhat of the police force of Ashimon, and the fact that now the two main characters their covers are kind of blown, and it looks as though they're going to be in a lot more trouble than I think they had planned initially. And the pianist story, P times 6, was good again, as Lucky did not defeat his brother. However, a lot of people were more impressed with him this time, so the more he trains, the better he'll be equipped for other matchups, as well as gaining his brother back by being friends with him again. So we'll see how that relationship will continue to build, as well as the other 5 siblings, how they will interact with Lucky as the story goes on. So I believe that's all the stories that I am wanting to talk about. They were all good. They all continued to have their fun growth. They're all very good in their stories and everything going on with them, as everything's continuing to move smoothly. Hopefully all the young manga that are below 20 chapters continue to grow, and those that are above 50 are showing good signs of decent sales to keep them alive. So if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, and as always, thank you for watching.